Welcome to Cam Look, your bi-weekly dose of the Cincinnati Art Museum. Every Tuesday and Thursday, a staff member or volunteer will talk about a work from the collection and pose questions for discussion. Check back at 10 a.m. on those days for new works and new conversations. Hi, I'm Jessica, the Art Bridges Fellow at the Cincinnati Art Museum, and today I'm going to be talking about a very unique work from our collection. As today is National Pie Day, it seemed it would only be fitting to celebrate the best way we know how, with art. This work, titled Farm Woman and Son at Pie Supper in Muskogee County, Oklahoma, is a photograph by Russell Lee and feels perfectly on theme for today's holiday. Born in 1903 in Ottawa, Illinois, Russell Lee grew up financially comfortable but with a tumultuous home life as he passed from one guardian to another until adulthood finally rendered him independent. While he did not start his career in the arts, actually holding a degree in chemical engineering, Lee began establishing himself as a photographer in the mid-1930s, taking a job photographing for the Resettlement Administration, a federal agency that relocated impoverished families to communities planned by the government during the Great Depression. His first trip for this job, which was supposed to last 6 weeks, became 9 months long, as Lee's passion for traveling and photographing rural subjects kept him captivated with his work. Lee took photos of rural and impoverished communities and individuals for the Resettlement Administration until it was succeeded by the Farm Security Administration in 1937, where he worked for many years after that, photographing similar subjects. By the early 1940s, the FSA had become a known and respected name in American photography, and Lee was renowned as one of the best photographers on their team. It was in this position and around this time that Lee took the photo we see here. Pie suppers were a common social gathering in rural communities in the Ozarks and typically served the purpose of raising money for a town, whether for the local school, athletics teams, or any other local organization in need of support. Women, children, and other members of the community would bake pies and conceal them in fabric or decorative boxes, which would then be bid on by other members of the community. Young single women typically received their bids from suitors. Even though the pies were concealed, girls often told their partners what the packaging looked like so that they could bid on the right one. In some communities, the pies and boxes of children, married women, and others less involved in the romantic aspects of the pie supper were placed on a different table and more rapidly bid off to save time for the more dramatic events. These pies were not always as secretive, and it became a great bragging right for older women and married women when their pies received a healthy amount of bidding for their reputation as a pie maker rather than their eligibility for dating. In addition to the standard arrangement of pies from community members, there was also typically a beauty cake, which would be donated and awarded to whichever girl received the most votes from suitors, who would contribute 1 penny per vote, often generating up to $15 to $25, sometimes even sparking such competition that men would team up to make sure their girl won, or would save up their funds prior to the supper in order to spend more at this contest. Some men would even pawn their watch or their clothing. While the beauty cake was the most popular contest, there were often other smaller and sillier contests and awards, such as a jar of pickles for the most lovesick couple or a cake of soap for the man with the dirtiest feet. In this photo, also by Russell Lee, we can see the young men in the room staring intently at an older man with his arms up, likely the auctioneer, as 2 girls in the front of the room giggle and hide their faces, several girls nearby also watching nervously, one even biting her nails. Do you think this photograph could be of the beauty cake contest itself? These pie suppers, while fun, goofy social events, were crucial to communities and especially local schools. One pie supper in Stone County collected a total of $15.65, which, while it sounds like a modest sum, was quoted to have been earmarked for a bookcase for the school library, reading charts for beginners, a small globe for geography class, 1 set of arithmetic blocks, 1 large wall map, and the remainder to be invested in books for the school library. In today's artwork, we can see a mother and her son, who appears to have fallen into a deep sleep on her lap. The mother is leaning forward in her chair, cradling her sleeping son and resting her arm lovingly over his chest, while still appearing engaged in the undoubtedly boisterous events of the evening, her gaze ahead and the hint of a smile on her face. In another photograph from the same evening, we see this same mother and son in the center right area of the photograph. This time, however, the boy appears awake, playing in his mother's lap as she watches some young men gossip and eat in front of her. Do you think this photo is taken before or after the one we just looked at? Maybe the crowd and the chatter woke up our young friend, or maybe he has just finished eating some pie and is about to settle in for a nap. What do you think? Our discussion questions for today are, if you had the chance to go to a pie supper, would you? What kind of pie might you bring? What sorts of social gatherings and activities do you enjoy in your spare time? Have you ever raised money for a cause? Tell us about it in the comments below.